40 ACM Awards, not 30, not 35, 40, more than any artist in the entire history of the Academy of Country Music. More than legends, more than Hall of Famers, more than people who have been in this industry for 4 and 5 decades. Miranda Lambert has more ACM wins than all of them. And on the night of May 17, 2026, she walked onto that stage in Las Vegas and added 2 more to the pile. But here is the thing, the trophies are not even the most interesting part of what happened that night. What happened that night was something much bigger than an award. It was a woman who, at 16 years old, had walked out of a Nashville recording studio because some producer tried to turn her into a pop star she had no intention of becoming. A woman who went back to Texas, learned guitar from her father, wrote her own songs, got on a TV show, finished 3rd, and still ended up with the biggest career in country music history. That woman showed up to the ACM Awards in 2026, her 20th year at that show, and debuted a brand new song that nobody had ever heard. A country and disco mashup, on the biggest stage in country music, with zero apology and zero hesitation. This is the full story of Miranda Lambert, where she actually came from, what it really cost her to get here, and why 20 years into her career she is still the most interesting, most decorated, and most unpredictable artist in country music today. Stay with me, because this story is worth knowing from the beginning. Let's go back to May 17, 2026. Las Vegas, the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Shania Twain is the host. The room is filled with every major name in country music. The cameras are live. The show has just started. Lainey Wilson has already opened the night with her new single, and the energy in that arena is already at a 10. And then they announce the second performer, Miranda Lambert. She walks out onto a stage that has been transformed into something that feels like it belongs in 2 different eras at the same time. There is a massive wall of silver fringe behind her. There are glittering disco balls hanging from above. There is a rhinestone saddle sitting covered in rhinestones with a white cowboy hat on her head. She looks like she has been doing this her entire life, which she has, but tonight there is something different about her energy. Something that says she is about to do something none of them have seen before. She opens her mouth, and the first notes of a song called Crisco come out. The audience has never heard this song. It had not been played on radio. There was no press run leading up to it. No one in that room knew what was coming. And what came out was this incredible fusion of country and disco, built on a groove that felt like it was pulled from the 1970s but filtered completely through Miranda Lambert's Texas roots and her own voice. The fringe behind her parted and revealed a honky-tonk backdrop straight out of a roadside bar in Lindale, Texas. The strings swelled, the rhythm locked in, and Miranda Lambert moved across that stage with the kind of ease and confidence that only comes from having done this for 20 years and really knowing that you are exactly where you are supposed to be. When the song ended, the crowd erupted, not politely, loudly. This was not a greatest hits moment. This was not a nostalgia performance. This was a woman at the peak of her career introducing the world to the next version of herself, live, in real time, with no safety net. Later that same night, Miranda Lambert walked to the stage 2 more times. The first time was to accept Single of the Year, not for one of her own songs, for Kerosene, Texas, a #1 hit by Ella Langley that Miranda had produced. She was behind the board on that record. She helped shape it, build it, and push it to the top of the charts, and the Academy recognized that. The second time was for Song of the Year, same song, this time as a co-writer. Miranda had sat in the room where Kerosene, Texas was written alongside Luke Dick, Joybeth Taylor, and Ella Langley, and helped craft the lyrics and the structure of a song that would go all the way to #1 on the pop charts. 2 awards, 1 for producing, 1 for writing, both for a song performed by someone else. That detail tells you everything you need to know about who Miranda Lambert is in 2026. She is not just an artist anymore. She is a force behind other artists. She is the person in the room who makes things better, who pushes ideas further, who brings the kind of experience and instinct that only comes from having been in this industry for 2 decades at the highest level. And when she accepted the Single of the Year trophy, she paused before she spoke, and she said something that made everyone in that room stop. She said this was her 20th year attending the ACM Awards. 20 years. She first walked into that building as a brand new artist trying to prove herself. And here she was, 20 years later, with 40 trophies in her house and a brand new disco song she had just debuted to 10,000 people. To understand what that 20-year moment actually means, you have to go back to the beginning, all the way back. Miranda Lee Lambert was born on November 10, 1983 in Longview, Texas. She grew up in a small town called Lindale, about 90 miles east of Dallas. Her parents, Rick and Bev Lambert, ran a private investigation agency out of the house. Her father was also a musician. That combination, a father who played music in a house that ran on instinct and investigation, shaped Miranda Lambert in ways that would show up in every song she ever wrote. At 16 years old, she performed at the Johnny High Country Music Review in Arlington, Texas. This is a famous Texas talent showcase. It is the same stage that helped launch LeAnn Rimes. Miranda stood up there at 16 and performed, and something clicked. She knew this was what she wanted to do, and so she chased it. She got herself a recording session in Nashville, the dream of every young country singer. She made the trip. She walked into the studio, and then the producers started showing her what kind of music they wanted her to make. It was pop music. Clean, commercial, radio-ready pop music with no rough edges and no personal truth in it. It sounded nothing like the music she had grown up loving. It sounded nothing like what she felt inside. So she walked out, 16 years old. First real shot at a Nashville deal, and she walked out of the room. She went back to Texas. She sat down with her father and she said she needed to learn how to play guitar, because if she was going to make music, it was going to be her music, written by her, in her voice, about real things. Her father taught her and she started writing. By 2001, she had recorded a self-titled debut album, 10 original songs, released independently, with no label support and no industry machine behind her. She sold it herself out of the back of a car at shows through word of mouth. Nobody handed her anything. She built it herself. Apology. The New Yorker wrote about her and said she had talent and charisma on a par with Dolly Parton. That is not a small comparison. Dolly Parton is one of the greatest artists who has ever lived. At the ACM Awards in 2008, Crazy Ex-Girlfriend won Album of the Year. 5 years after signing with a label, Album of the Year. Miranda Lambert in 2026 is not living off what she built in 2005 or 2008. In April 2026, she signed with MCA Records, a new label, a new chapter, a deliberate decision to keep moving forward. She executive produced Ella Langley's sophomore album Dandelion. She co-wrote Choosin' Texas and watched it go to #1. She duetted with Chris Stapleton. She is headlining the Music City Rodeo, the Rock the Country Festival, arenas and venues across the entire country. And she released Crisco, a country disco song built with a fresh set of collaborators, pointing in a direction nobody expected, and she introduced it to the world on the ACM Awards stage in front of the entire industry. 40 trophies, 20 years, a new sound, a new label, still writing, still producing, still performing. That is Miranda Lambert. The girl who walked out of a Nashville studio at 16 because she refused to be someone else, walked back into the biggest room in country music 20 years later and showed everyone exactly who she became instead.